If you're looking to relocate to Ankeny, Iowa, what should you consider? And I'm not talking about the weather, because the weather is the weather. Today is 15 degrees. Just a couple days ago, it was about 45. But we're going to go through the 5 top things to consider when moving to Ankeny. And obviously, if you want to have a conversation about that or go through the pros and cons, you can always reach out to me. I would love to have that conversation with you. So number 1 are the schools. So Ankeny has 2 different schools. You have Ankeny High School and you have Ankeny Centennial. Both of them are governed by one school district, the Ankeny School District. Enrollment at Ankeny Centennial, grades 10 through 12, is around 1,500, and enrollment at Ankeny South or Ankeny High School is around 1,400. Now, there are other options. You have Ankeny Christian, and you also have St. Luke's Catholic School, both here in Ankeny as well, and other options if you're looking for more of a private school. Back to Ankeny and Ankeny Centennial, the dividing line runs basically right through the middle of town. If you look at First Street, it's a pretty good idea of what school. You go to the north side of First Street, you got Centennial, south side, Ankeny High School, but that line is not definite, so do not rely on First Street as that dividing line. If you want to know what it is exactly, DM me or comment that you'd like that map, and I will get that sent over to you ASAP. In Ankeny, there's a total, I think, of 12 elementary schools, with the newest one being Abbey Grove on the far northwest side, and the second to newest one would be Heritage Elementary School in Prairie Trail, which is a development right in the middle of town, which I'll talk about a little bit later. The Ankeny School District does sit at one of the higher rated school districts in the state of Iowa, and Iowa sits pretty high nationally as well. One huge benefit to the schools in Ankeny is the fact that DMAC, Des Moines Area Community College, is right here in Ankeny, and it offers great classes to high school students to get early college credits. I know my daughter graduated college in 3 years at a 4-year school because she had so many credits, and another daughter graduated from a junior college in 1 year because of all those credits. So DMAC is a huge bonus. Now, number 2 is what development to move to, or where should you look to move to in Ankeny. Now, the more affordable homes you're going to find typically between Irvingdale, which is the far west side, north-south road, over to, say, Delaware Avenue, and south of 18th Street and north of Orr-Labor Road. That's where you're going to find the majority of the more affordable homes. And when I say affordable, we're talking probably anywhere from $200,000 up to about $400,000. Typically, towns grow outward, so you're looking at new developments being usually on the outskirts of town, and you're going to find most of those new developments on the west, northwest, north, northeast, and east side. Not too many to the south because they can't really develop to the south due to the getting close to Des Moines. But one nice thing about Ankeny is you got Saylor Township in between Des Moines and Ankeny, giving you a fine definition between the city of Des Moines and Ankeny, making Ankeny its own community. I like the fact that Ankeny is not intertwined with a number of different cities. And Ankeny doesn't really go out to the west far because you got the lake on the west-hand side. We have a lot of room to grow to the north. We're approaching on Almond before long, which is a real small community north of Ankeny. And then to the east, you got Bondurant, which is about 6-7 miles away. So there's a ton of room to grow to the east, northeast, north, and to the west. When you're trying to decide on the development to move to or what side of town to move to, price point plays a big role in it. And each development typically has a pretty standard pricing. Now, if you look at Prairie Trail, which is that development right in the middle of Ankeny, which was developed in the early to mid 2000s by Dennis Aubal and the DRA Properties, they went in there and they did something different. That development has all sorts of different price ranges because they wanted to make sure it was more of a community feel and not necessarily price driven or income driven. But when you get out into the northwest side and west and the east side into these new developments, typically the price of the home is based on the size. In a development, typically will have covenants that say you need to build within these restrictions, which will kind of put you into a block of price points. So if you're looking for something that has bigger lots, you might want to go further out west or further to the northeast, because typically the bigger lots are in areas where you have more space. And again, those areas are going to be a little bit more expensive. But as you get closer to Saylorville Lake, you'll find some of the bigger lots over there on the west side and the southwest side of Ankeny. If you're looking for just a standard lot, anywhere from 0.2 acres to, a half an acre, pretty much any development around town is going to work for you. One thing to note about these developments and Ankeny is the trail systems through town are amazing. You can get to about any trail, including the High Trestle Trail, through the sidewalks and the trails through town. So you've got wider sidewalks on the main roads. Each development will have parks. If you're a developer and you buy a chunk of ground to develop, the city is going to require you to dedicate a certain amount of that development to a park. And the city parks are amazing in Ankeny, and that will definitely be something that you'll find in just about every single development. That was developed after, say, 2000. If you're wondering about different developments in town and you have some requirements and you'd like to talk through that, DM me, get a hold of me, call me. I'll walk you through some of the different developments in town that might work for you, that fit what you're looking for. So we talked about schools, we talked about the different developments and the growth of Ankeny. It has been extraordinary. It's been one of the top growing cities in the country for a long time. I moved here in 1996 and there's about 20,000 people in town. And now we're upwards 70, 75,000, going to be hitting 80,000 here pretty quick. I think we're growing at about 1,500 residents per year. But I digress. Now on to the third thing, which would be property taxes. I often hear that Ankeny has high property taxes. And when I look at it comparatively to the other suburbs around Des Moines, it actually sits right in the middle. Ankeny property taxes run about 1.64% of the property value, which is actually less than Des Moines, less than maybe Urbandale, but maybe a little bit higher than West Des Moines. So it sits right in the middle of all the suburbs. So when it comes to property taxes, don't let that determine whether or not you move to the community. A couple of the benefits about those property taxes is you got nice streets in Ankeny. You have a beautiful brand new library. You have a brand new police station, and we have a pretty good crime rate here in Ankeny, which I'll talk about in just a little bit. But I always say you pay for what you get. So in Ankeny, they have good schools, they have good parks, good trails, everything's well maintained, the streets are cleaned off. They're repaired. Obviously, we have repairs on the roads like anybody else does, but every community does. And with growth, you have to add, you have to build, you have to fix, you have to do all that stuff. But for the property taxes that we have, it is a very, very nice community as well. So I'd like to say Ankeny taxes, property taxes, are a bargain comparatively. I wish we didn't have them, but comparatively, it's pretty good. So I'm saying the number 4 thing would be the crime rate. Is it a safe community? Now, when we look at Ankeny, it is often thought of as a safe community. I know that many people don't even lock their doors, which I think is a bad idea. The violent crime rate in Ankeny is 1.3 per thousand, which is actually quite a bit lower than the national average. I don't like to hear 1.3 per thousand because that 1.3 could be me. You do that 1.3 could be anybody. But at the end of the day, it is lower than the national average. And it means that we don't have a whole lot of violent crime in Ankeny. It does happen and you can't avoid it, but it's on the lower end. When it comes to crime on property, it's 11.8 out of 1,000, which again is lower than the national average. We don't want to be any of that 11, but it does happen, and it is lower than the national average, so that's a good thing as well. It's reported that the crime rate percentage is actually 45%, again, lower than the national average. So could you consider Ankeny a safe place? Well, it's safer than most places, and that would be a benefit to move into Ankeny. And the number 5 thing is the commute. So in Ankeny, if you live on the east side of Ankeny, you're close to I-35. You can get in and out of town really, really quick. The further you go west in Ankeny, it could take 10 minutes to get across town if you need to get to I-35 from the west side of Ankeny. But if you're closer to that interstate, if you need a quick commute, it's about 20 to 25 minutes to Ames. And that commute is going to get shorter because they're taking that road and making it 3 lanes on each side all the way to Ames, which will make that drive a lot quicker. Now, if you commute to Des Moines, downtown Des Moines only takes about 10 to 12 minutes once you get on the interstate. So if you live 10 minutes away from the interstate, it might make it 20, 25 minutes to get downtown, but it is a very quick drive. Now, if you're close to the interstate and you want to get over to, say, University Avenue and I-80 bypass, it's going to take you about 20 minutes. If you want to get to Jordan Creek Mall, it's going to take you 25 minutes to 30 minutes. So it is a quick commute to get all the way across Des Moines because you're close to that interstate. And, let's face it, Des Moines is not very big and the traffic's not that bad right now. But other commutes, you can get to Marshalltown in about 30 to 45 minutes. You can get to Newton in 30 to 45 minutes. So you can get to a lot of places from Ankeny very, very quickly because of the I-35 access. So if you don't work in Ankeny, but you want to live in Ankeny, don't worry, the commute's not too bad. So those are just 5 things you should consider when you're thinking about relocating to Ankeny, Iowa. Obviously, there's a lot more things to consider and everybody's situation is different. Again, I'll offer up my services to you if you want to have a conversation and talk through the pros and cons to relocating to Ankeny, Iowa. Again, thanks for the follow. If you found this video helpful and you'd like to see more, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.